Good morning and welcome. This is Bravo 22 Live. I'm Matt Whiteman. I've been a Bravo member now since 2016 and enjoyed every damn minute of it. But today's not about me. What we've got today is an absolute treat for you. We've got my mate Mick, a Royal Air Force veteran of some 327 years, and his very good mate David Threlfall. So without further ado, I'll let Mick explain what's going to happen next. Enjoy.
Thank you, Matt, and good morning, everybody. Today I'm going to be talking to David Threlfall. David and I were in the same class at secondary school in Manchester in the 60s. And since we've gone our separate ways, I joined the Air Force and David started acting. I've kept in contact on and off down the years. So when I asked him if he would do this, I was overjoyed when he agreed. David has a long, successful career on stage, film and TV, and I'd like to welcome him here today. So welcome, David.
Thanks very much, Mike.
So first question.
Well, first question.
How did it all start for you? I always thought that it was because I was in the school play and you were impressed by the amount of time I used to get off to rehearse. But I think that's not the reason. I think there was somebody else who inspired you to take up acting.
Yeah, I do remember seeing actually there was a version of Peer Gynt on at school. A guy called Rogowski. Do you remember Rogowski? He was a little chap. Can we say little? Can we say chap these days? I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to forgive me. I don't mean any rudeness when I refer to people, folks. But unless, of course, I'm being rude about someone. But Rogowski was this laughing idiot doing Peer Gynt, and I remember thinking, "Oh, that's quite good." You weren't in that, were you, Mike? That wasn't the one you. Was that what you were in?
I was. I played the part of how do you say it these days? An inmate, an asylum inmate.
Oh right. Oh well, that's interesting. Because at that time we were going to City, although slightly separately. I was going with Pete Lolly. You were going your own special way somehow. I don't know. I can't remember. But yeah, I'd seen a school play, and then at 16, when all the what I used to call the heavy brigade left and went to do their apprenticeships or do strange things like join the RAF. I stayed on and started to do A levels, but the two people that started me were a Scouser, Frank Casey, who I had to call up this week and congratulate through gritted teeth about Liverpool winning, and Alan Johnson, who was sadly a couple of years ago died. And they used to take us on. There was this. They started going out when when the UK had a repertory system, which Margaret Thatcher, along with her quest to destroy the unions in the late 70s, also completely kiboshed the Arts Council and its grant, and there was no repertory system in the country, a proving ground for young actors particularly, but old ones too, where you'd get a job for a year in that theatre, in that community. Anyway, don't get me started. Well, do get me started, because I think it would be nice if it came back. But we used to go to these repertory, like Leeds or Chester. I know Chester. Yeah. I'd rather read an obituary than go to Chester. No, it's very nice. It's very nice for cocktails of an evening. Chester, Liverpool. Liverpool and Nottingham were like the big ones. Stoke was run by a man called Peter Cheeseman. They put on lots of plays, like the Sam Pongo plays. And I remember seeing a play there. Sorry, I just knocked my porridge over. Said Goldilocks. I used to. They used to do the Sam Pongo plays, and one of the early plays I saw was about Newcastle, funnily, Mike, called Live Like Pigs. I think it was about travellers, and the Sam Pongo plays were sort of plays with music and things like Close the Coal House Door. So there was a lot of those kind of plays. So what I'm trying to say is, in the answer to your question you asked 3 hours ago, is that I sort of got a vibe from doing it. Part of it was the business of going on the coach to the place and thinking we'll get a few beers on the way back, which was frowned upon by the ginger bearded Alan Johnson. And I did a school play eventually. I did a little thing, an Angelico play, called The Rising Generation. Everybody got in a spaceship and called Hope and went to the future. I think we could probably do with that now. Maybe we should ask, what's his name, Elon Musk or something. I thought that was perfume, you see. And then we did The Crucible. By that time, I was interested. The football career had sort of stopped. I'd gone as far as I wanted to go further, but it stopped. And I'd applied to art college, but I did The Crucible. I played John Proctor in The Crucible at school with the grey curtains and the grey cloth chairs and everything, and found that a really emotive experience. It was, I didn't anticipate how expressive it would be. And Alan and Frank are absolutely responsible for throwing their passion into it, and it's sort of, I sponge that. In fact, I spoke to Frank only last week. Alan, I can't, because, well, they cremated him. It's very difficult to communicate like that.
Well, thanks for that answer. Very comprehensive. So anyway, you leave.
It was a comprehensive school. That's why it's a comprehensive answer.
Yes, yeah.
Because I think you and me both, we both failed our 11 plus at different schools, but we ended up in the comprehensive. Another thing that Mrs. Thatcher did so wonderfully well in her time as the Gauleiter of Great Britain.
So
I'm not bitter, though.
No, not at all. None of us are.
Well, give me time.
So anyway, you left school. I believe you went to drama school, and then started on your career as an actor. Now, you probably were best well known for Frank Gallagher in Shameless, but there was quite a lot of acting to be done between getting that part and leaving drama school. Can you give us a quick resume of that period?
A quick resume. Okay, well, they have taught you a lot. Not French, but they taught you a lot. Well, yeah, I was at. I eventually left art school, went labouring for about 6 months, and then through the youth theatre, which I was connected with. I was just reading an article about youth theatres yesterday. Funnily enough, they're still alive, but the Manchester Youth Theatre is long since gone, as far as I know, anyway. And I went to drama school for 3 years, and while I was there, I managed to get, because of my youth theatre connection, I got a little job at the BBC, a little half-hour thing written by Bob Mason, again, late of this parish, unfortunately. Lovely guy, Bob. Was in Coronation Street for some years, called On the Good Ship Yakahiki Dura, about 3 guys in a motorway for when they're building a motorway. And then well, basically, when I left college, I'd auditioned for Mike Leigh, the well-known small person and filmmaker, and he asked me to be in a thing he was doing for 8 weeks in Oldham, and I go, well, funny enough, I'm not busy, so yeah, that would be nice. So I did a thing called The Kiss of Death with Mike, which is based on improvisation, and I know. What I understand talking to you and Sue and all that, it's that, you know, there's a lot of improvised, devised work, which I find very interesting. So that's sort of my base. From there, I went and joined Hull Truck when Mike Bradwell ran it, and that again was drama with the soliloquies. In fact, were music. They were, you know, like in Shakespeare, you get Hamlet saying, "Oh, honestly, it's so hard. I just can't go on." But with Hull Truck at that time, there was an improvised play. But when there was a soliloquy, it was music. The character, as it were, vocalized their internal running condition or problem. So I spent a year doing that, and then I got really lucky because Mike Leigh was doing a play as part of an RSC season. Peter Flannery, an old friend who we share the same birthday, in fact. And Peter wrote a play called Savage Amusement about Manchester and the housing. It was set in the future then. Now, what was the future then? The future. It all looked so rosy until the future was something like, it may have been 1980 or something like 80, just a little bit in the future. Anyway, good place, Savage Amusement, about people who were living in the flats that had been built by the Tory council based on the what's the word? Crescent shape of back townhouses. Yeah. So I did that, and then at the end of that, I auditioned and got a season at Stratford, and I played various parts at Stratford. I did. At that time, you used to have a 52-week contract, 48 weeks in, is it 40 or 46 weeks in Stratford, but 8 weeks in Newcastle. It was a Newcastle season we did for 8 weeks, and I did Shakespeare. I did a play called The Suicide, which I'm very fond of, a Russian play. I did Slender and the Merry Wives of Windsor. I did My Player's Cast, which was Hold the Spear matinee evening in Cymbeline with Judi Dench. I don't know what she's doing now. And Antony and Julius Caesar, in which I was supported very well by my now longtime friend Trevor Nunn, but in which I was pretty terrible. Not helped by a director I didn't really think tuned in to where a 24-year-old who had real insecure issues about whose language is the Shakespeare thing, which is why we've made those 3 little films for the RSC recently, the Education Department, available, because I understand that insecurity being from the working class north. It was all growing up. It was all cobbles and terrace doors and cup of sugar next door. It sounds like a cliche now, doesn't it? But that was the fact. And then I at the end of that, we started to put together an adaptation of a Dickens thing. The Doors Were Thrown Open, and we took 8 weeks of initial improvised again, and that became Nicholas Nickleby, which ran for about 2 years, and I ended up doing on Broadway and on TV. You can get it on a DVD at all good bookshops and DVD stores, folks.
Nicholas Nickleby, that's going to be one of my later questions, but we'll come to that. I think now we'll go back to Matt.
Always, I'm ahead of you.
Well, obviously.
except when we're trying to guess who Guardiola's going to play.
Well, that's who knows. That is really difficult.
It's yeah.
So I'd like to go back to Matt and see if he's got any questions from the audience, if that's okay.
Yeah. Hi, Mick. Hi, David. Yeah, we've got. Just like to say good morning to Dean, Luke, Shirley, Christine, Stevie, Paul, Graham, who are all watching, and many others, I'm sure. The first question I've got for you, David, is from Christine, and it's: what has been your most memorable part to play today? And I suppose that would be whether it be screen or stage or even both.
To be honest, that's a tricky one. Christine, was it?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Christine, I find that tricky. There's a lot. I got a lot of pleasure, but he wore me out for 10 years playing Frank Gallagher, and I directed a lot of those shows. But I where we just stopped about Nicholas Nickleby, that was good, but it was physically quite demanding. I didn't realise it was going to run for so long. I might not have bent myself as twisted as I did. But that's all about your instincts and stuff like that. I got a lot of pleasure out of doing a little show called Nightingales, which was on. Again, it's not like they just released both. There was only 12 of those. I like that because that was really surreal. Written by the late, again, Paul. Everyone I've worked with goes late, don't they? There's a pattern for me. Paul Makin from Coventry, and I thought those were great. And there was me and Jimmy Ellis and Bob Lindsay, and we had a great time doing that. A lot of fun. I think the basis for anything, to be honest, Christine, is that you have fun with it. And then when I'm directing, I like to create an atmosphere of fun and like a sort of emotional bouncy castle. I can't believe I just said that, but I'm trying to get economic phrases into half an hour. And Mike will know very well. I'm very difficult to stop once I get passionately going on something. And listen, I love my job, and I always have done. I've been really lucky, but I think things are changing now because the world just changed. But anything I just feel I can do to help or be of an assist with a sort of artistic Kevin De Bruyne, I'm happy to do. So it's a difficult question to answer specifically. I got a lot of pleasure out of doing a character called Leslie Titmuss in Paradise Postponed, John Mortimer series years ago. I've just done a two-handed play, which I'm told may be coming online, called The Old Tune. It's a Samuel Beckett. I played Samuel Beckett on film on Sky and a little thing, and for something like 28 minutes. It's called Urban Myths, and it's about famous people who you don't know. There's something about them you don't know, and there's Muhammad Ali's on one and Beckett's on another. So having played him, I've never done him live on stage, and this is a rare one. So there was an evening, again coming full circle, directed by my friend Trevor Nunn, and I did it with an old friend, Niall Buggy, two old guys on a bench just misremembering things. So I get a lot of pleasure out of that. I enjoy wordplay. I enjoy the syntax of things, the specificity of things, just pretending to be somebody else, because for years I just thought I wasn't really interested in me. I'm a bit more aware of who I am now, but I did do a King Lear with Olivier, and we used to have some nights out, and were very good fun nights out. And he said that. I said, "What's all this thing about you? You're nobody until you start playing who you are." So because you can see you in every part, really. That went down well. But we had some good chats about that. But I sort of asked him, because I felt the same. I thought, yeah, I don't really come alive until I'm pretending to be somebody else, because that makes you sound vacuous, as if you haven't got your own personality. And I think a lot of the time, I think a lot of the time, I think we're all on our different searches. You've all gone and done your things. I'm sure you know very well, in the situations you've all been in, what that costs you, what that challenges you to confront. Who am I? Real basic questions.
Yeah, just a couple more quick questions before I go back to Mick. I mean, that great answer, by the way. Thanks very much. I hope that's all right, Chris.
The only one I've got, so we're stuck with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you find theatre or TV? Which one do you prefer, or do you like them for different reasons? And also, learning lines, does that come easy to you, or is it something that you've sort of got better with time? And that's from Sarah.
I think it depends on what you're doing. I think it's like anything. It's like confidence. Confidence can suddenly arrive, and confidence can suddenly disappear. I mean, I'd get really nervous after, doing 10 years on Shameless. Some days I'd go, feeling really nervous today. And it's usually a very small scene when you have to do something small. Learning lines is about practice. Learning lines for me is about trying to get a running condition of a rhythm. The metabolism of somebody else. Frank's metabolism, for instance, was much higher than mine. That's why I sort of always say jokingly, he wore me out. Because he was, I mean, obviously there's drugs and drink involved, but Frank, not me. But he's got quite a high metabolism. Somebody who's like slower was like the guy I did in the Beckett thing I was just talking about. I think you have to be, if you're not curious, I think you're in the wrong fucking business, to be honest. I think you just have to be really curious about people and about places and environment, and how that environment affects. I'm talking like this now. I'd be talking different if I was in a doctor's surgery, wouldn't I? Or in a hospital, or in the supermarket, or in the mall. How that character reacts in real life. It's I screen tested for something that has to remain nameless about a year or so ago, quite a very well-known show. And they've said, I thought, well, about this. Oh, great, it's a great challenge. A challenge, and that's the other thing. A challenge, that's the thing. And I'm sure that's in common with a lot of people who I'm speaking to now. There's the challenges in that. At least you've sort of earned something, you've been through something. And one of the challenges was, can you play this? Do you think you could play this guy? I don't know. Well, we'll send you the padding, we'll send you the suit and all that. And I was going out in character, practicing it and getting the voice with a voice coach and everything. It was like screen testing or something. I go to KFC in character and order, because it gives you that gives you a confidence. And when you have it and you're the guardian of that character, and you're the guardian, you've got the keys to that character. I put a lot of store by actors being that, and therefore therefore being involved rather than someone standing saying, move there, do that, say it like this, say it like that. I'm much more, if you like, a nurturer of saying, well, what do you think about, what do you feel about that? What's your instinct about that? And being led from that and trying to put, because my sense of truth is different from Mike's or Matt or Ian or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. All the job of director, and indeed anyone, is to pull all that truth together in either a screen or a stage.
I'm getting a little bit of direction now from the back room. I need to hand back to Mick ASAP because he's got something very good for us to see.
It can't be very interesting, but we'll do it anyway.
Yeah, Mick.
Thank you, Matt. Yeah, well, you've covered a great deal of my questions that I've got here, so that's makes my job easier. But talking about
that's only make it easier for you. It'll be all right.
Talking about the physicality of roles and also into changing to become the person who the character is. We've got a bit of film that you did recently for the I think it was the Share Your Shakespeare thing for Shakespeare's birthday.
Yeah.
We'll have a quick look at that and then we can maybe talk a bit more.
Oh, okay. Do I get to see it? Or I know it's the one you're showing it now, are you?
Well, I'm not seeing you. I guess you'll see it, yeah.
All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances. And one man or woman in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. At first, the infant mewling and puking in the nurse's arms. And then the whining schoolboy with his satchel and his shining morning face, creeping like snail unwillingly to school. And then the lover, sighing like furnace, with woeful ballad made to his mistress' eyebrow. Then a soldier with strange oaths, bearded like the pard, jealous in honour, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation, even in the cannon's mouth. And then the justice, in fair round belly, with good cape and lines, with eyes severe and beard of formal cut, full of wise saws and modern instances. And so he plays his part. The 6th age shifts to the lean and slippered pantaloon, with spectacles on nose, pouch on side, his youthful hose well saved, a world too wide for his shrunk shank, and his big manly voice turning again to childish treble, with pipes and whistles in his sounds. The last scene of all that ends this strange and eventful history is second childhood and mere oblivion. Son's teeth, son's eyes, son's taste, son's everything.
Well, I enjoyed that. So anyway,
somebody wanted me to do it, so I did.
A final question, or it's a multiple choice, really. So basically, about your life as an actor.
Don't give me multiple choice, Mike. You know, I can't do. You know, I can't.
Just pick C. If in doubt, pick C. So this is a multiple choice. So over the years as an actor, did you always? You've probably answered this already. Did you always take any job that came, or could you pick and choose? And has that changed as you've got older? And finally, my final question: have you got any ambitions left as an actor? On any
ambition? Well, that's easy. The ambition is to work. That's not being facetious. I mean, not only in the current climate, but it's just always been my case. I mean, you know yourself. It's I'm just a jobbing actor, and the career thing happens as a sort of byproduct. Yeah, there's one or two things that you get at various periods in your life where you think, I don't want to do that for various reasons. Sometimes they're private reasons. Sometimes what I like to do is do a variety of things. I think I've got quite I felt that through my art college training, they're like sculptures to me. I think I've got quite a plain face in which I can sort of graft things on. I moved from doing sort of drawings and pastels and a little bit of sculpture to making my body be the I don't know whether my body's a temple. It's more of a friend's meeting house. But I think that it's the enabler for me to push myself when I'm challenged to do something. Sometimes it frightens the horses. Some people just go, no, he does too much. He overacts, and I'm perfectly aware of all that. And I think I can demonstrate a bit too much, a bit of a mugger. So in a way, you know, Frank helped all that because he could do such a lot inside the framework of that particular. But that was a lot more of a feeling. It was a feeling and a wig, really. Once I was made up, I felt I could just go. So I think that there are certain things I turned down. Not that I look back and think I wish I should have done that. I don't feel that at all, because they're not. You know, I'm not an A-lister. I'm just like somebody who just loves the craft and loves being able to communicate it. And the reason why I'm talking fast is because we've only got half an hour here, and I'm trying to cram 40 years. You've only been out there defending the country. I've had a real job to do. You know, so but I'm fascinated by. I'm not one of those people who, when we used to go abroad for holidays, goes to another country and wants, you know, stays white bread and Watney's pale ale. I like to experience what's going on in other countries, and therefore I'm sure I'm talking to a lot of people who've had lots of multicultural experiences, which fascinate me. I'm always. I think I've got to be a better listener. I think actors. There's people say, you know, actors can be selfish. That sounds as if they're selfish all the time. But we've probably all of that in our various relationships. Yourself, it's all about you. But you're in like that for a bit until someone points out. There's a preponderance. I think there's a time, say in rehearsal, you've got to remember in a rehearsal, you're practicing. You're not performing, you're practicing. So for me, it's like throwing paint. It looks like a Jackson Pollock drawing. It's just throw ideas at it and see what sticks. That would be one of the thing.
Right.
And Macon, please try and shut him up. Well, I'm trying to get everything in, Sue. Go on.
All right. Well, I think time's up, it says there. I think there were some requests for a couple of little bits of Frank's shameless dialogue from some members of the audience. So if you don't mind.
I gave the one and I can't remember most of it.
Or maybe catchphrases is probably a better.
Well, I did part in it. Now I have to go. When we finish, we have to go scatter. We have to do that, don't we? So
that's a good way to finish.
Yeah, I was a performing monkey.
Well, Dave, it's been great.
It's a pleasure as always to talk and see you this time. But it's a shame I wasn't able to. As I'm trying to say to everyone, I prefer being in the room where it happens, as they say in a particular musical. That's my favorite place. Being in a room, trying to make it happen, whether it's on set or whether it's a rehearsal room, just to try things out and help people's instincts along, and intuition and discussion and passion for stuff.
Well, I've been told I've got to hand back to Matt. So thanks very much, David. It was fantastic.
Be around sometime, son.
Well, I'll ask you the rest of the questions on WhatsApp at some time.
Okay.
Thanks. Cheers. All the best, David. Matt, back to you.
Thank you, and I'm sure that everyone will agree that David is anything but selfish. He's been extremely generous with his time, and what he's given us is fantastic. He's also said, I don't know if he's aware of this, that he said it on camera, that he would love to come back and do this all again, because unfortunately we can't ask.
What the hell else am I doing? You know what I mean? It's not.
We've got, though, coming up on Thursday, we've got Mark Woodhead with our very own Banksy, Mr. Ian Rudge, who'll be running a session on drawing from a masterpiece. And also on Monday, we've got Have a Brew with Bravo 22, or 22, actually, not 22, 22. And that'll be a get-together at 11 a.m. So if you want to get involved with that, bring some biscuits, make a brew, and let Alice Palmer at thedriveproject.co.uk know if you'd like to join us. And that is a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. I've had a great time, and I hope you have too. Cheers now. Bye-bye.